If it's got the name Dunk on it, it's definitely a cracking shoe, and this one is absolutely out of the park. It reminds me very much of these right here. That's the Air Jordan 1 Low purple magenta with that mismatch between the left and the right shoe. Although with those purple magentas, it was very different between the left and right shoe. And with these guys here, even though it looks very different, there's actually a really interesting pattern between where the colours show up on the left shoe and then the same colour showing up in different places on the right shoe. But there is a pattern to it and there is a formula to it, and we'll be going through that today, and especially looking at the parts that are the same, because the whites and the yellows and even the browns that you might not know about, because there are some browns sneaking in there as well, they all go in the same way, but then the colours, the pastels that these shoes are named after, the pastel blues and reds, they really have a different feel for the left and the right shoes. So we'll get into all that today, and then I'll ask that monster question that I truly need an answer to, which is what makes a dunk a women's only dunk. I've never seen that before in about 840 consecutive days of doing content for YouTube. Now, just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it ain't so, but if I haven't seen it, it's pretty rare. And to come across a dunk low that's women's only, I'm kind of surprised. Is it just the colorway, or is there something in the structure that makes it different? So with all that in mind for today's video, let's get into this and have a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Nike Dunk Low Light Soft Pink. This is a Tokyo Bada 23 Secret Channel. Tokyo Bada 23 Secret Channelです。毎日アップするので毎日見てください。And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And in the spotlight today is not this. That was the shoe that I did recently. Now, I'm not sure which will drop first, because I know there's a drop date on these guys today, and this shoe behind me right here only has April 2021 as a drop date. So this video might actually come out first, even though I shot that video before this one. It's like I'm the Beatles. Said no one ever. But the Beatles, they actually recorded their last album was Abbey Road, but they released that before their actual last album, which was Let It Be. So it's a bit like that, because the Beatles recorded Abbey Road and then they recorded Let It Be, but they released them in a different order. So that's kind of a tiny bit of trivia. But it's like that with this. I don't know which video is going to actually hit YouTube first, but I've got a feeling it's this one, because we have a definite drop date from just one place, and that one place is Soul Supplier, our friends in the UK. They're saying they're April the 2nd, whereas the shoe that I did yesterday, or at least the video I shot yesterday, the Celadon I think it's called, that dunk is just April 2021. Could be April the 1st, could be April the 30th, so we don't know when that one's going to drop. So most likely I'll send this video up first because we have a definite drop date, and then keep that Celadon one for later. But there is a tie-up between that shoe and this shoe, and that's the one of the things that attracted me to that shoe in yesterday's video, shooting yesterday's video, was the midsole with the speckled effect on there, and then today we've got a speckled effect on the outsole. So it's a little connection between those shoes and today's shoes. So we're going to get into today and talk about this. First things first, just to be ultra clear, it's a Nike Dunk Low. That's it. No SB inside, no SB Pros, nothing like that. Just a straight up Nike Dunk Low. Very simple, the classic original silhouette, but very much not the classic original colorway. This is very unique and very unusual as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I've seen this mix of pastel colors on a Dunk Low before, so it's a very unique shoe, very interesting shoe, a lot going on in it, and a lot to talk about in today's video. So let's get into that and have a look at the details. Now, I said what we would do first is look at the things that are the same on it, and basically I've broken that into two categories, white and yellow. So let's start with the yellow bits. We'll start up high, looking at the trim around the tongue, just the trim on there in that yellow, and then we'll travel quickly back, and you'll get a hint of the branding panel, but not the branding itself, on the heel of these guys, and then down to that outsole, and we can focus in on that outsole for a little bit to get that speckled effect there. So on the left shoe and the right shoe, those three parts, the trim around the tongue, the branding panel on the heel, and the outsole is yellow on both shoes. And then zoomed in right now, you should be looking at that outsole and getting an idea of the speckle effect that's going on there. And I said with yesterday's video that midsole was not a move to zero midsole with recycled rubbers, and I'm saying the same today. I don't see this as a move to zero outsole. I don't think it's recycled rubbers that make up the speckle on there. I just think it's paint that's splattered onto the uppers. That's my opinion, might be wrong, but I don't think I am. So those three places in yellow, rounded the trim around the tongue, the branding panel on the heel, and the outsoles. And then we've got the white, which is the same on both the left and the right shoes. So we've got the white tongues, but the branding on there is all over the place. So we just focus on the tongue being white itself, and then the toe panel on the front of the shoe, travel back from that to the midfoot and see what the midfoot's doing. And then I think it's up high on the ankle, you've got the same whites going on in there. So that's pretty much the bits that are the same between the left and the right shoes. But then you get into those pastel colours, and it's the same colours but in different positions on the two shoes, and that's kind of the main thing we want to look at. Now before we do that, I'll quickly look at this mismatched colour combination here, which is the aglets, and there's a great picture of the two aglets hanging down the side of the shoe, and you can see the two different colours that are at play on there. So even the aglets on these guys have those pastel colours in different colours as well. But behind them, what you can see in the picture is the leather and the quality of the materials that are used to make these this pair of shoes. So it's very much in leather. Sometimes recently we've seen a lot of suede coming in. I think those Celadons had a bit of suede in them as well, but these guys seem to be pretty much just straight up leather all across the top of the shoe, sometimes in white, sometimes in yellow, sometimes in those pastel colours. And speaking of those pastel colours, we'll get to them in a sec, but I just want to go to one last place. Some rogue colours coming at us is the rogue brown colour. So looking down from above onto the tongues, which is a great place to see that mismatch between the left and right shoe. You can see that the right shoe is in green and the left shoe is in light blue with the branding panel on the tongues. But the branding itself, very simple, Nike swoosh, no SB, no Dunk Low Pro, nothing like that, is in brown, just thrown in there out of the blue. Just chuck some brown on this pastel light faded colour shoe. But if you travel back from that into the insoles, you can see the white standard branding on the inside, but this time there's a slight mismatch in the depth of the brown between the insoles and the left and right shoe, but they're basically both brown. And then flipping these guys to look at the heel, and that yellow branding panel that I already talked about houses the Nike branding in it, again in brown. So I'm not kind of sure where this sort of line of brown has come from, what its purpose is, but it just maybe adds a little bit of depth, a bit of kind of gravitas to a shoe that's very light and sort of fluffy, for want of a better word. But then we'll get into looking at some of the places where those pastels come in. So we've already talked about basically the white and the yellow parts of the shoe, and that only leaves two things. One is my favorite line, which I often talk about when it comes to Air Force One or Jordan 1 lows, or in the case of these guys, Dunks. And what I'm talking about is the overlay around the toe, then into the quarter line, up onto the lace stays, and then down into the ankle and the heel. And you can see that they are in different colours for the left and the right shoe, which is the major feature on these guys. Whereas the swooshes, if I'm not mistaken, are the same colour all the way through, but it's that line that's in different colours. But it's like the colours are offset by one, so where it's blue on one shoe, the right shoe for example, around the toe, then it's a kind of faded red on the left shoe, and then you go back from that and you're alternating blues and greens, and then reds and blues, and then greens and reds, and there's a sort of pattern to the way the shoes are kind of one step out of sync with their colours. And that's what I mentioned earlier. It's not just random colouring on these guys that they've just thrown on any old place and hoped to have an interesting shoe. There's a way that they've placed the colours one sort of step different from the left and the right shoes, but they're a great looking shoe. But I have those two questions left. One's a whopper. The first one, though, the less whoppery one, the junior whopper junior, is about what makes it a women's shoe. I truly don't know. I truly don't know how you can make a Dunk a women's specific shoe. You see it often on the Jordan line, for example, where they'll say, recently there was the Ama Manier Air Jordan 3s women, but somebody put in the comments down below that there's a full-size run of them, even though they're women's. And I think there's something to do with the construction, the bridge, and the way they support the foot in a different way for women and for men, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But when it comes to Dunks, I have not seen women's before in doing like 2.5 years of YouTubing. So I'm surprised to see it, and I'd love to know in the comments down below what it is that makes a women's Dunk compared to a regular full-size Dunk. So that's question number one. And question number two is a bit of a sort of downer. I think this is the first so Dunk I've seen in about 1.5 years And we've had some absolute crackers out there. Even recently we had Wasted Youth and Street Market and some really epic dunks from the last 18 months, and it just maintained this crazy standard. But this is the first one that I would look at and be sort of like, bit questionable, and it's been a long time since the dunks came off of being absolutely exceptional and down to just average and normal, for want of a better word. So not really feeling these ones, to be honest, even though there are some interesting features in there like that speckled outsole. But to me, the pastel colours and the mix in the match of all of those colours, it doesn't really do it for me. So, but that's just me. Maybe you have a difference of opinion and you'd like to share it with us in the comments down below. For now though, it's time for me just to wrap this video up, and thank you guys for paying attention and watching the content. I do truly appreciate it, and the only thing that's ever left for me to say at the end of a video every single day is I tell you this, that I'm doing this on a daily basis, 7 days a week, even on the weekends, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.